Shocking,
fans of Molotov and Ribbentrop excited to see the latest development now between Reform and the Tories. This is in the Daily Mail.
Oh, my God, thank you. This is story number 7 in the Daily Mail.
Does it say Lewis on it?
It says Lewis on it, yeah, it says my name there. Reform and Conservatives urge to consider, quote, non-aggressive pact to oust Labour at the next general election, which is a fantastic story. It doesn't mention who the people are who said this and where they were. Yeah. It says nothing. It says it would be nice if Conservatives and Labour got together. But what, and reform, whatever they are.
Conservative and Labour have a non-aggression pact. That would be...
It's called the Uni Party.
But the truth is that the Tories are the Labour Party, basically, with slight differences. We need a real reform party, somebody who is going to fight. And the worst thing about this...
Donald Trump, basically.
Like Donald Trump.
Somebody just shot you.
I was told by my son not to say kill, kill, kill. And,
yeah, that seems sensible. Don't say that on national TV.
Can I just say, this guy, supposed guy, we don't know the name or anything. It's just they said that the two parties should copy an alleged private agreement between Labour and the Lib Dems at the general election.
Yeah.
Is like, no. There should be no. There should be no. We need someone to stand up who's an actual English citizen, not Lewis Schaefer, who says, I want to fight for England.
What do you think, Nick?
It's hard to follow that, but I think it is necessary because if they're going to have any chance of winning and neither one's going to back down as a party, then, of course, they're going to have some sort of pact. Yeah. Difficult for Farage because he's repeatedly said he'll never do it. He did it in the past, and that was bad for him. Yeah. So it's going to be difficult, but they have to do something like that.
Well, they don't because you've had... they got a huge number of votes in the last election, 5 seats to show for it. That's obviously absurd. If they had combined, they would probably... The Tories might very easily have...
Trump said, you get the votes, but you don't get the seats. Very strange system. Yeah.
But what would have happened if they had combined? They would have gotten the Tories, who are... I hate to say it, they're horrible. I know most of the people out there who are watching it probably voted Tories.
No, I think you've got a Reform audience. They absolutely listen to you, but they're not going to win at the moment, are they? I mean, we're several elections away from that.
We don't know if they're not going to win. We don't know.
I'm more Reform than Tory, but I just want to get rid of Labour because I can't stand any more Starmer. Don't you just want to get rid of Labour, though, Lewis?
No, we need to have... yes, of course, but you only get rid of Labour when there's a real replacement. That's a
because Starmer's coming for you. He's
got to move on now to the Independent. Yeah. So, Nick, we have the Queen of Scotland now. She's come to the aid of the recently whipless Rosie Duffield.
Yes, indeed. J.K. Rowling furiously hits back at Labour MP over attack on Rosie Duffield. This was Nadia Whittome, who had a pop at Rosie. She said, no matter your views on her stated reasons for quitting, Rosie Duffield has made a political career out of dehumanising one of the most marginalised groups in society. I don't know who's Keir Starmer's family. She meant trans people, presumably, but it seems a bit harsh on old Rosie there. So J.K. Rowling hit back and said Rosie Duffield was one of the few female Labour politicians with the guts to stand up for vulnerable women and girls, while self-satisfied numbskulls like you fought to give away their rights and spaces. TLDR, keep her name out of your mouth, which was kind of like the boom, the punchline. So that was...
Will Smith slap.
Yeah, slap indeed. That was pretty cool. So basically, as I always say about Rowling and people like Rosie Duffield, they're wrong on almost everything except this issue, and they do have great integrity. They have integrity. They've got their views, so it's good to see.
And Rowling can write a tweet. She is pretty good at it.
And she can write books as well.
Yeah.
But, I always don't get too carried away because I know they're all still sort of lefty feminists who are wrong on everything else.
This is true, and they all still ignore the fact that trans movement grew out of feminism, grew out of complaining that gender was just a social construct and that everything was...
that would be my take. There were certain people get very angry when you make that argument, but
I do think it's quite interesting saying that Rosie Duffield has made a career out of transphobia or gender criticism, whatever you want to say. I mean, she's an MP. She did an MP thing. She has suffered a few serious setbacks and humiliations when the party failed to stand by her, but she has not been a campaigner on this as a sort of professional platform. She's been an MP.
And she won in her seat, made it a Labour seat for the first time, and won very impressively. She didn't do that on just bashing trans people, did she? It's not realistic.
Fairly minor, and it wasn't mentioned at all in her resignation letter. But go ahead, what do you think?
Well, the whole trans issue, people think it's two teams, and the trans is on that team, and people believe if you're against trans that children are going to die, that trans people are going to die, and that you're a murderer, and that's what she's accusing Rosie Duffield about. But the truth is that Rosie Duffield doesn't have her own silo, because the other silo is against what Rosie Duffield stands for, and it's against
You think she's going to end up in Reform? Some people think.
Well, you know what? That's the only place she can end up. She says, I'm going to fight for women. The fact is that she was fighting over the child benefit, right?
Yeah.
And the child benefit, it doesn't help British people. It's just giving more money to women, and it's not even giving money to, like, Britishy women.
So, Lewis, we have the last two Tory leadership hopefuls sparring over quality versus quantity, but sadly, they're not talking about restocking the House of Commons cellar.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is if I care. As if anybody cares out there. As Badenoch and Jenrick clash over immigration policy. We should have a Tory leader if it meant something. And they should be arguing about more important things than this. Is Mrs. Badenoch, who is, she's the something of the something. She's a Tory, and she wants to be Tory leader. And she said it's important who comes to the country if they share the same values as we do, which was basically a dig at certain people who hate us and want us dead and want their own courts and all that other stuff. I shouldn't have even said that. And then the other guy, or one of the four other guys, Jenrick, said that numbers also matter, and it doesn't quite matter who comes into the country. It's just the numbers. And the truth is...
So he just says we should get the numbers down and not kind of give people a free pass as long as they are...
Yeah. Because he is a Tory, and he has to wake up every day knowing that his party is the Lib Dems of the 21st century. I mean, the 21st century.
Yes.
That the Tories are dead. I'm waiting for one of these people, whoever Tootin had and the other guy, Cleverly, to stand up and say something that isn't bog standard from the last 5 years. Someone's going to, be way more reform than reform. Because if it's not more reform for reform, reform is formed.
Well, we have a discussion coming up about the possible collaboration, but what do you think, Nick? Is this radical enough?
Still trying to unravel what Lewis was saying. Well, yeah, I like that there's a sort of arms race for who can be more anti-immigration, because that's good. And even Farage is in danger of being outflanked by Jenrick, because Farage was a little bit woolly on it in his interview with Stephen Edgerton for GB America. Yeah. I noticed. So this is all about Kemi's interview with Laura Kuenssberg on BBC, where she said a very normal point that not all cultures are equal, and then a BBC actor was shocked, and she's just saying that she believes in West...
Did the BBC act shocked, or was that the online? I saw a lot of social media.
Well, Laura Kuenssberg has a questioner in this sort of BBC way. What she was saying was completely obvious. Yeah. She said, I'm not a cultural relativist, I believe in Western values. Completely normal until about 10 minutes ago, but now it's like a shocking statement. Yeah. And no, she made that other strange statement that we keep bringing in people who hate Israel, which is bad, but what about people who hate Britain? Some people say.
That's even worse. That's even worse.
Yeah. And so it's completely normal. She just said, look, it's not equal. Some cultures want to stone gay people to death or whatever. They believe in child marriages. So, if the left runs into this problem because they suddenly worry about women's rights, but they want to say all cultures are perfect and equal, which... It's just obviously not true.
And I saw one or two accounts online saying, oh, this is, again, redolent of 1930s Germany, and you're going, well, was that a culture that you think was as good as British culture then? 1930s Germany. Was
and we fought them. But at the end of the day... We fought them. At the end of the day... If I were British, I would want somebody... My kids are British. I want someone fighting for England. Who's going to fight... And not even Scotland or Wales if they want to go in there. Just England. And even worse, fighting for London. And even more, fighting for Nunhead.
No, London's Team World. Yeah, just England.
Just England.
Against London.
We have to fight, English people, not people who speak English. English people have to fight for England.